Let's see, in 5 to 7 pages, provide an in-depth analysis of a 20th century novel that is culturally reflective of the time it was made, e.g. The Great Gatsby to the 1920s or The Catcher in the Rye to the 1950s. Ah shit, it's due tomorrow. What am I gonna write about? So I know what you're thinking. What the fuck is Sonic in the Fourth Dimension? Why did you read it? And why don't you get a life? Well, I can't answer those last two questions. I can tell you that Sonic in the Fourth Dimension is the second Sonic the Hedgehog book by author Martin Adams. To capitalize on the Sonic mania after the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, in 1993 and 1994, Richard Branson's own Virgin Books published 4 Sonic the Hedgehog novels exclusive to the UK. And yes, I'm sure you can insert your own joke here. The books were written by a guy named Martin Adams, who, aside from writing the other 3 books, is actually a descendant of US President John Adams and a 4th cousin of Douglas Adams. Actually, none of that's true because Martin Adams doesn't exist. Well, guys named Martin Adams exist, but the Martin Adams who allegedly wrote the Sonic the Hedgehog novels is actually a pseudonym for the authors Carl Sargent, James Wallace, and Mark Gascoigne. The name Martin Adams was picked for the sole reason that it would appear first on store bookshelves. These guys have no shame. So why start with the second book instead of the first? I don't know, it's my show. So let's crack this sucker open and dive straight into Sonic the Hedgehog in the Fourth Dimension. The Sonic story so far. There was a time when Mobius was a peaceful world, and the Green Hill Zone was the most peaceful and pleasant and generally all-round cool place to hang out on the entire planet. Mobius's inhabitants were, and are, talking animals of all types. The hippest streetwise dude of all was, and is, a hedgehog named Sonic. Get ready for a whole book of this shit. Also, I don't think you can be very streetwise when Green Hill Zone literally has no streets. And of course it just had to be Sonic, who stumbled into the laboratory of Mobius's only human, the kindly but absent-minded Dr. Kintabor. Dr. K was perfecting a device, the Retro-Orbital Chaos Compressor, to attract all the evil on Mobius and contain it within 6 emeralds. He called the Chaos Emeralds. Neat name, Doc. He said it, not me. He found the type to help boost Sonic's already radically fast footwork too, and with the help of a special pair of red trainers, Sonic exceeded the speed of sound. And he turned blue. Of course. Sonic super speeded all over Mobius, searching for the gray emerald that would neutralize the evil contained in the Chaos Emeralds. But before he found it, Dr. Kintabor's absent-mindedness brought disaster to the whole planet as he entered faulty data into the ROCC. The device exploded, releasing the emeralds, scattering protective golden rings across the length and breadth of Mobius, and transmogrifying Kintabor into his exact opposite, the evil, power-crazed, obese, and egg-loving Dr. Robotnik. Sonic has foiled Robotnik's plans at least twice by the time you read this book, but Robotnik is inexhaustibly, exasperatingly...
What happens when a chicken eats gunpowder? She lays a hand grenade.
resilient. Once again, he's back. And that means trouble for Mobius in general, and for hedgehogs with red trainers in particular. Don't worry, I'm not going to read out the entire book to you. So the story starts off right in the thick of it with Sonic and Tails fighting a giant spacecraft. They're running past trees, dodging missiles, and attacking with all their might. And when they finally destroy it, there is a deafening explosion that rattles the speakers of the Game Gear. Because it turns out they weren't actually fighting a spaceship. They were actually just playing a Game Gear. And what game were they playing? Tree Man 2, Moss Perot's Revenge. They put a Ross Perot reference in a book meant for British children. So Sonic and Tails are having a picnic with Sally Acorn and the Freedom Fighters. They're comic characters, it doesn't fucking matter. So they race each other there. But Sonic ends up tripping on some metal device, causing Tails to trip over him, sending him careening into the picnic and ruining everything. Sonic gets up and examines the device, a twisted metal rod with knobs on it. But suddenly, while Sally berates them for being idiots, the entire world changes! The bright colors of Green Hill Zone dull into the drab pollution of the Brown Hill Zone. The creativity is just oozing off the page. Then one by one, their friends start disappearing. Sonic, out of curiosity, I guess, picks up a rock and looks at the bottom. Inscribed are the words, "Copyright, Robotnik Industries." The two split up and search for clues as to what's happening. Sonic ends up searching a local cave where he finds a weird gray portal and a totally friendly echidna named, Eric. Friend of Steve the Hedgehog and Tony the Tiger. Sonic then asks to see Eric's foot, to which he complies, revealing the same Robotnik copyright as before! Before Sonic can react, Eric literally kicks off the plot by punching him into the portal, sending him whirling through a metaphysical nothingness. Eric then makes a sinister call to Robotnik, confirming our suspicions that Eric the Echidna is this story's bad guy. And then we never see Eric again. Sonic materializes and ends up in a world filled with corridors. He then notices a group of strange creatures in tight black jumpsuits. Their leader is Arctur the Dragonkin, and his group, the Mythos Army, is comprised entirely of mythical fantasy creatures like unicorns, centaurs, fairies, and, according to this 1993 book, giant squids. After a scuffle, Sonic gets trapped in a symbiote-esque prison suit, but it's okay because Tails shows up to save him. Because plot reasons. The two run away from these fantasy freaks and end up meeting up with real-life human beings. And not of the egg-shaped variety. These two, a man and a woman, claim to be from a group called the Organizers, the mortal enemies of the Mythos. Their names are Agent Gray and Agent Orange. It turns out that this place is called the Fourth Dimension, and these organizers are a sort of interdimensional police, preventing people from tampering with space and time. Sonic and Tails show them the metal device that Sonic tripped on, and they confirm that it is in fact a time machine, one that was actually invented by them and stolen not too long ago. They then decide that the best course of action is to tell the Science Council immediately. "We'll never be home in time for tea now," says Tails. Did I mention this book is British? So Sonic, Tails, and their new friends travel to the council chambers. It is a vast room filled with a ton of weird aliens and creatures. After what seems like hours of shitty bureaucracy and a vote of no confidence, the leader of the Science Council, a 10-year-old girl, decrees that Sonic and Tails should be sent back to Mobius without any help to investigate Robotnik themselves. But then they get attacked by the Mythos! And then they defeat the Mythos. And then they teleport back to the Brown Hill Zone. And after digging around through some of Robotnik's files, they found out why they didn't disappear when the timeline changed. Apparently Robotnik had removed those people from history by murdering their parents. Jesus, that's dark. But both Sonic and Tails are orphans.
I thought we are all orphans.
Making it impossible to find their parents. Couldn't he just, go back in time and find out who abandoned the babies? Is that too complicated? But there's no time for speculation because out of nowhere comes Dr. Robotnik in a giant egg death machine! The Eggmeister. It's an awe-inspiring vehicle, equipped with laser cannons and a chainsaw. It's the Gears of War gun of boss battles. Sonic and Tails fight their hardest, but are unable to hurt him. And in true villain fashion, he takes this as the perfect opportunity to lay out his master plan. Since he is incapable of finding Sonic and Tails' parents, Robotnik plans to send the robot hit squad back in time to kill the first Hedgehog and Fox to evolve on Mobius. It's foolproof. And then Sonic and Tails find another time machine in Robotnik's lab and go back to dinosaur times. This really happens. Sonic and Tails look around at the prehistoric Green Hill Zone, filled with giant dinosaurs. "It tells us where we are in time," says Tails. "We're in the prehistoric, when dinosaurs ruled the world." So the duo explores, running away from carnivores and all that, when they come across a clearing. In the middle are two strange-looking furry creatures, a brown hedgehog and a red fox. It's fucking weird, man. The prehistoric grandpas are currently being held up at gunpoint by a bunch of egg robots. But Sonic and Tails quickly take care of them, resulting in the greatest high five in history. Or prehistory. As they watch their ancestors frolic back into the ancient forest, a bright flash of light occurs and Sonic and Tails are surrounded by time police in shiny silver suits. They arrest the two on charges of time manipulation and drag them back to the 4th dimension and the Time Police Council, which is a totally different council to the Science Council, by the way. Then, when the verdict is about to go down, the chamber doors fly open and the leader of the Science Council, the 10-year-old girl from earlier, rides in on a fucking motorcycle! She is shocked by what she sees. She tells the council that the two are on a mission from the council, and the council apologizes to them, dismissing them to the judgment of the council. The leader of this council, an elderly woman, then reveals that she is actually the 10-year-old girl's grandmother. Okay. Sonic then reveals his own plan to stop Robotnik by preventing him from ever existing. Not like that. Sonic plans on going back to the moment Kintabor activated his machine and transformed into Robotnik, and preventing the mistake from ever happening. The council leaders agree, and they send them off to find a trans-dimensional warp thingy, whatever, to get back home. But then they get attacked by the Mythos! And then they defeat the Mythos. And then they use the machine, but it was set wrong, so they end up back in Brown Hill Zone. But then they convince a robot to reprogram the machine, and they end up back in Old Green Hill Zone. For God's sake, it's a kid's book. You don't need this much filler. Sonic and Tails make their way to Kintabor's lab, only to discover the past Sonic is still there. 2 Sonics in one location. The 2 time travelers then lunge for Kintabor's machine, fight off past Sonic, and prevent Robotnik from ever existing. Then, in an almost Cronenbergian way, the 2 Sonics meld together and form a single Sonic. God damn it, they did it. Sonic the Hedgehog saved time. So the day is saved and there is peace throughout Mobius. The grass is green, the birds are chirping, and the doctor hasn't turned any animals into robot death machines. There's only one problem. Sonic's bored. Bored. Bored, 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 bored. Bored, bored. Bored, bored, bored. Sonic is so bored that he decides to play his friends in blackjack and scam them all because apparently he did this in the past, and because he went back in time he remembers all the hands and knows when to hit. What? The two decide to go to Kintabor's lab, but find it in shambles. Stuff is strewn about everywhere. The fridge has been raided. But most importantly, the Chaos Emeralds, integral to the ROCC machine, are missing. Sonic opens up a cabinet and finds Kintabor frozen in the same prison suit that he himself was trapped in earlier. This can mean only one thing. The Mythos! Again, Sonic and Tails inform Kintabor about all the time travel and interdimensional stuff, and he agrees to help them by turning a treadmill into a time machine. They literally have to run back to when Kintabor was attacked. They do it, sneak inside the Mythos' spaceship, and ambush the soldiers, stunning them, taking the emeralds, and recovering a folder that'll surely advance the plot later. The day is saved once again. Except it's not, because a second Mythos ship has arrived. The same ship, in fact, from 10 minutes in the future. God damn, all this fucking time travel. Sonic and Tails go back to the future and ask Kintabor what to do. He looks at the plot folder and learns that the Mythos have a dastardly plan for the emeralds after all. They're tired of being oppressed by the organizers, enforcing their rules of science and law. That's why there's a war between them. They just want to exist. For fuck's sake, just live on Mobius. They've got talking hedgehogs and giant space lizards. So to fix this and create their own utopia, the Mythos plan on throwing Chaos Emeralds into the Big Bang. Apparently, that's gonna create a new chaotic universe that allows them to exist. How? I don't fucking know, but Sonic and Tails are prepared to stop it by running back to the beginning of time. They arrive 3 minutes before the Big Bang, but are still too late because the Mythos already launched an emerald 2 minutes ago. It's impossible to fix things at this point, aside from the fact that Sonic and Tails are literally standing on a time machine and could just go back a few more minutes to stop them. But no, the Big Bang, bangs, causing a gigantic wave of chaotic light. They can literally see the end of the universe, meaning there's only one option left. Go back to when they prevented Kintabor's machine from exploding and let it explode so he becomes Robotnik again. Wait, what does that have to do with the Big Bang? So they rush back to the lab and intervene right as they intervened before, preventing the prevention. Now there are 3 Sonics and 3 Tails in one room. It's like the saddest cosplay contest ever. The machine explodes, turning Kintabor back into Robotnik, but it also affects past Sonic. Well, if Robotnik is Kintabor, I guess his name's gonna be Xenos? Kinos? Yeah. It's a big dumb video game boss fight, and it ends with Sonic melding with Kinos like he did with the other past Sonic. You'd think that would make him some kind of bipolar evil monster. But no. Anti-Sonic may have been dealt with, but Robotnik ended up escaping. Thankfully, the incompetent time police show up right in the nick of time. Ha ha ha. And bring them back to the 4th dimension to stop Robotnik from stealing the time machine. Apparently, I'm sorry, I swear this is my last apparently. Robotnik's big gray portal from the beginning was his own invention, and he used that to steal the time machine in the first place. So the gang anticipates his creation of the portal, heads to where it opens up in the 4th dimension, and surprises Robotnik with a healthy dose of 2 Sonics and 3 Tailses. My literal nightmare. But they did it! They scared away Robotnik and saved space and time. But there's still one more loose thread.
If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change.
And then Sonic the Hedgehog high-fived the dragon. The end. Well, that sure was the most ridiculous and confusing children's book I've ever read in my entire life. But hey, at least there's one good thing to come out of this book. In commemoration of the 10th anniversary of a certain beloved Sonic game, for all of November I'll be covering some of the worst from Sonic the Hedgehog thanks to my awesome supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to see other cool stuff like this or simply support the show, go to patreon.com/Yomarz.